this course, we explore globalization and explain how it's creating a borderless world for today's managers. Every manager today needs to think globally because the world is a source of business threats and opportunities. Organizations in all fields are being reordered around the goal of addressing needs and desires that transcend national boundaries. Globalization refers to the extent to which trade and investments, information, social and cultural ideas, and political cooperation flow between countries. One result of globalization is that countries, businesses, and people are becoming increasingly interdependent. Globalization and increasing interdependence have dramatically shifted the environment for managers, with a decreasing number of large international corporations located in the United States. Succeeding on this global level requires more than a desire to go global and a new set of skills and techniques. It requires that managers and organizations develop a global mindset. A global mindset can be defined as the ability to appreciate and influence individuals, groups, organizations, and systems that represent different social, cultural, political, institution, intellectual, and psychological characteristics. A manager with a global mindset can perceive and respond to many different perspectives at the same time rather than being stuck in a domestic mindset that sees everything from one's own cultural perspective. A global mindset requires skills, understanding, and competencies in 3 dimensions: the cognitive, psychological, and social dimensions. The cognitive dimension means knowing about the global environment and global business, mentally understanding how cultures differ, and having the ability to interpret complex global changes. The psychological dimension is an emotional aspect. It includes the fondness of diverse ways of thinking and acting, a willingness to take risks, and the energy and self-confidence to deal with the unpredictable and uncertain. And finally, the social dimension concerns the ability to behave in ways that build trusting relationships with people who are different than oneself. Managers at all levels have to have a global mindset, the ability to appreciate and influence across different social, cultural, political, institutional, intellectual, and psychological characteristics. It's all about adaptation. International business is defined as commercial transactions that occur across country borders. One way for an organization to get started internationally is to seek cheaper resources, such as materials or labor, offshore, which is called offshoring or global outsourcing. Another is to develop markets for finished products or services outside their home countries through strategies such as exporting and partnerships. Global outsourcing refers to engaging in international division of labor so as to obtain the cheapest sources of labor and supplies, regardless of country. This is sometimes called offshoring. Millions of low-level jobs, such as textile manufacturing, call center operations, and credit card processing, have been outsourced to low-wage countries in recent years. Exporting is a market entry strategy in which an organization maintains production facilities within its home country and transfers products for sale in foreign countries. Many organizations first get involved internationally by exporting. Exporting enables an organization to market its products in other countries at modest resource costs with limited or no risk. Exporting does entail numerous problems based on physical distances, government regulations, foreign currencies, and cultural differences, but is less expensive than building plants in host countries. Finally, partnerships represent a higher level of involvement in international trade. One popular type of partnership is a joint venture. In a joint venture, a country shares costs and risks with another firm, typically in the host country, to develop new products, build a manufacturing facility, or set up a sales and distribution network. A partnership is often the fastest, cheapest, and least risky way to get involved in the global game. Two major alternatives for engaging in international arenas are to seek cheaper resources via outsourcing and to develop markets outside the home country. Many managers fail to realize that values and behaviors that typically govern how business is done in their own country don't always translate to the rest of the world. American managers in particular are regularly accused of ethnocentric attitudes that assumes their way is the best way. Ethnocentrism is a natural tendency among people to regard their own culture as superior to others. One way that managers can help fight their own ethnocentric tendencies is to understand and appreciate differences in social values. That's where Hofstede's value dimensions can help managers. These 4 dimensions of national value systems help us understand organizational and employee working group relationships. The 4 dimensions of cultural value systems include power distance, uncertainty avoidance, individual and collectivism, and masculinity and femininity. Power distance is the degree to which people accept inequality in power among institutions, organizations, and people. High power distance means that people accept inequity in power among institutions, organizations, and people, while low power distance means that people expect equality in power. Uncertainty avoidance means that members of a society feel comfortable with uncertainty and ambiguity and thus support beliefs that promise certainty and conformity. Low uncertainty avoidance means that people have great tolerance for the unstructured, the unclear, and the unpredictable. Individualism reflects a preference for a loosely knit social framework in which individuals are expected to take care of themselves. Collectivism, on the other hand, means that you have a preference for a tightly knit social network in which individuals look after one another and organizations to protect their members' interests. And finally, masculinity stands for a cultural preference for achievement, heroism, assertiveness, work certainty, and material success. Femininity, on the other hand, reflects a cultural preference for relationships, cooperation, group decision-making, and quality of life. Recent research by the Global Leadership and Organizational Behavior Effectiveness, or GLOBE project, extends Hofstede's assessment and offers a broader understanding for today's managers. The GLOBE project used data collected from 18,000 managers in 62 countries to identify 9 dimensions that explain cultural differences. In addition to the ones that we just covered by Hofstede, the GLOBE project identifies the following characteristics: assertiveness, future orientation, gender differentiation, performance orientation, and humane orientation. A high value on assertiveness means that a society encouraged toughness and assertiveness as well as competitiveness. Low assertiveness means that people value tenderness and a concern for others over being competitive. Similar to Hofstede's time orientation, the dimension of future orientation refers to the extent in which a society encourages and rewards planning for the future over short-term results and quick gratification. The gender dimension refers to the extent to which a society maximizes gender role differences. In countries with low gender role differentiation, such as Denmark, women typically have a higher status and play a larger role in decision-making. Countries with high gender differentiation accord men as a higher societal, political, and economic status. A society with a high performance orientation places great emphasis on performance and rewards people for performance improvements and excellence. A low performance orientation means that people pay less attention to performance and more attention to loyalty, belonging, and background. The final dimension refers to the degree to which a society encourages and rewards people for being fair, altruistic, generous, and caring. A country high on humane orientation places a great value on helping others and being kind. A country low on this orientation expects people to take care of themselves. Self-enhancement and gratification have high importance. Today's managers are aided by Hofstede and the GLOBE project in understanding value dimensions. Effective management styles will vary in each country, depending on cultural characteristics.